Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey, welcome. After a bit of a hiatus, to be sure. It is Tuesday, May 26th. Notice how I say Tuesday. I learned that at acting school back in the 70s. Tuesday is the proper pronunciation, as is pronunciation the proper pronunciation. Oh, it's Tuesday, and that means my sister Susan is joining us. Hi, Suze.
Yeah, on Tuesday.
No, Tuesday. Tuesday. I also want to warn people that there's going to be a bit of a hullabaloo coming up because someone is coming to take my dog for a walk, and they're coming in the door. The dog's resultant barking is going to be a little bit of a disturbance. Usually we hope that happens before the show starts, but that isn't the case today, okay?
We always like hearing from Blue.
Yeah, well, right now he's out in the backyard in the sun. God, how can you?
I don't know. Yeah, Ernie does that too with the black fur.
A black fur, and it's hot as, well, it's not yet hot as hell. It's going to be hot as hell. Somebody tweeted today, and it was so true. Glad that we finally changed seasons here in Pittsburgh from rainy extended winter to impossibly humid blast furnace. And it just, on a dime.
Well, that always happens when it's cold all through May. You don't get spring. You just go straight to summer.
Oh, God.
And around
I hate
here,
it because spring's the favorite.
Yeah, I know. And it's all screwed up. Nothing's blooming in the right order around here. Yeah. And clearly half the lilacs got zapped. You know, they started to bud, and then we had a bunch of cold nights, and a bunch of the lilacs didn't survive.
That's interesting. You say lilacs.
Well, it's L-A-L-I-L-A-C. Well, what do you say? Lilacs?
Yes, I do.
Sometimes I say lilacs, but I was thinking about it yesterday, and I said, it is not L-I-L-O-X or L-O-C-K-S or anything like that. It's lilac.
Yeah, but you can't tell the proper pronunciation by, the rules, so-called rules of English for pronunciation, right?
Well, especially in Green Bay, I agree.
Especially in Green Bay.
Because
I think it's true anywhere.
Things funny.
Yeah, well, they do everywhere, don't you think?
I do, but,
Yeah. But when you're in Green Bay, I mean,
like
it's
you can always, the little Canadian things that are starting to come down here, I think mostly because of HDTV or whatever that thing is. But, when we say progress, right? They say progress.
Progress, right.
Or process when we say process.
They say process?
Uh-huh.
Process? You mean
all the things that we they pro.
They pro.
Yeah. And now I'm hearing people around here do it, and I swear when I finally noticed where it was coming from because of HGTV.
Why HGTV? Wait a minute.
Or whatever
just
that is.
Just because you watch HGTV. You mean those are the ones with the...
Everybody does.
I do not.
Okay,
so
but
there
I'm
goes
just saying
the lie to that.
A large group of people watch these shows. I mean, across a whole economic spectrum. Here's how you know. One of the latest shows has the Property Brothers, who are these 2 6'5" wannabe actors, right?
Right.
Who have made such a hit that one of their shows now features stars, making over homes for their loved ones, featuring people like Brad Pitt. I mean, Brad Pitt needs to be on a show like this. Like, you and I need, I don't know, what do we?
Well, he might guess he likes being on camera. I don't know.
I don't. Well, no, these things were done long. I mean, I just think the quality of the people that they get to go on their show tells me how large their audience is.
Well, there's also a way to tell by just checking out the ratings. I mean, obviously they've got a good. I don't watch it. It was on, and sometimes I see it like if I'm in a waiting room at a doctor's office.
Right. Nail salons frequently have that on too because it's not political.
Oh gosh. Well, where to start? Let's try for at least a little while to avoid the horrors of, the political leadership of our nation.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I was talking about the Property Brothers. Go ahead.
Okay, well, that's good. I have to tell you, the New York Times Magazine this Sunday was filled with wonderful little essays by very good writers about, dealing with their new lives in this time. And I have to share some of my favorite little tidbits. Do you mind?
No, because I didn't read it. Go for it.
Okay, here's a little one. And I just ripped out this, paragraph, and I can't tell you who wrote it. I'm sorry. But it's so dead on. Here it is. I spend hours sitting, doing nothing except considering. I considered investigating the stain under the boiler. I considered making banana bread. I considered cleaning the gutters. The word consider implies, correctly, that these thoughts at no point turn into actions.
It is amazing how much you can avoid doing.
Well, but it's
with
also amazing how much
excuse other than there's always tomorrow.
You have all this time, right? And so you see that, oh my gosh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, has to be done, that has to be done, and I do nothing. Almost.
Mañana.
Yeah, right. And I was just, very carefully with a broom sweeping, the things that the trees are dropping. What are those called? Seeds.
How long have you been locked up alone, dear sister?
I was very carefully, and they keep coming, so I get to do it every day. And I was just sweeping, and I mentioned it to somebody, and they said, "Well, don't you have a blower? You can do it in 2 seconds." And I said, "I'm absolutely opposed to blowers. They're noisy, they pollute, and they take away the pleasure of this, sweeping or raking. I mean, I love that sort of manual labor, and I've noticed that I'm doing it like so fastidiously and so slowly because I don't want to finish, because I enjoy the process. And
you're out in the beautiful weather, it gives you an excuse.
Right, before the blast furnace happened, but yes,
right.
Now I'm avoiding it. But okay. Now, speaking of things that you clean up, another wonderful piece written by a person named Jamie Kyles is called "You're Never Alone in a Dusty Apartment," and this is actually a pretty much scientific discourse on what dust is.
And all the microbes that are living with you, all the mites.
It's more than mites. It's you, right? It's your skin.
Right.
So here is I guess a scientific fact that is just unbelievable. On average, the human body sheds its entire bag of skin, more than 1 billion cells. I mean, just tons and tons of cells, every 28 days.
At least.
And the older you are, I think the more that is, because your skin's so dry.
Mind. You don't want to know what I'm jumping by.
Okay, I don't. I'm sure I don't. Every 28 days, it's like it's like having another period. Every 28 days you literally.
Well, then how come every 28, how come every 28 days the wrinkles don't go away for a second? I mean, why is the brand new skin in as crappy shape as the old skin was?
Well, because all the stuff that's supposed to nourish it and keep it, is sort of dried up.
I know.
So this person writing says, I have shed my entire husk more than twice since I've been sitting here in my apartment by myself, we cast off thousands of skin cells every second. And then they say, you ever just sort of sitting there and there's a shaft of sunlight in the room and you see all that
all the stuff, glistening.
That's
in
you.
The air.
I mean, much of it is you're watching the shards of your disintegrating self in that beam of sunlight, and so this.
Well, you're not exactly disintegrating. You're reconstituting.
Right. Reconstituting. So
that's a more hopeful way of looking at it.
But this person comes up with so much stuff. So, I mean, that dust that we're always, not always, some of us don't really care that much about dust. Other people are freaked by dust. That's almost all you.
Well, unless you live with Ernie, in which case at least 90% of it is dog hair.
Well, that's true, too. But yes, that's true. So this person says, I thought about skin as it floated through the air, landed on the bureau, and remade itself as dust. And they go on to say dust as a collective noun means almost nothing. It suggests dryness and smallness, tiny unknown pieces of stuff combined with other tiny unknown pieces of stuff. So the dust in your house is literally a microcosm of your domestic life. And it is mainly skin, sloughed off skin cells and hair. So there's the dog. Okay. And hair. But, it's also dried out bugs and tracked in dirt from, outside. It's all
and
this
vegetable
stuff.
Matter that falls out of your refrigerator and your mouth. And, yeah, all that stuff.
Stop and think of this. The word that we use for getting rid of dust is dust.
Yes.
And a word that means adding on, putting stuff down is dust. You dust the crops, a crop duster. So dust is something that is an added on. Dust is what the verb is for getting it off. Dust is amazingly, what's the word? Resilient?
Well, it's versatile. It can be a verb.
Versatile, that's the word. Thank you. It's a versatile word. So, then
sort of like snow, which is the thing and the action of doing it.
Yeah. This guy says, I dust for distraction. I dust the baseboards. I dust the dark side of the fan blades. I dust the tops of the light bulbs in my lamps. I dust for a universe I can control. The thing about dusting is it's endless. Even as you dust, you make dust.
Job security.
I love it. And they say here that this fixation that we've all grown up with dust is really rather new. It's came about in the 1800s. And why would it come about in the 1800s? Ask anyone who lived in Pittsburgh in the 1800s, because the crap spewing out of the mills, settled in blew through the windows and settled in your house. And apparently around here it was so bad that people had, if you washed your sheets and hung them out to dry, they were black before you got them back in. So,
yep.
Are we? Yeah. And so this sense of this being an encroachment of things that weren't meant to be got people into thinking it has to be gotten rid of, this dust. So dust symbolized a collapse of order. And we all know, like, Mom is a lot like this,
I know. She actually broke down and dusted one day because I was vacuuming. She said, "Okay, I'll dust." That didn't last long, by the way.
No, and of course, and as you're vacuuming, you're kicking up dust.
Right.
And if I'm just saying, so here's where this guy just figures, I don't know if it's a woman or a man. They didn't come up with this. This is Simone de Beauvoir, for God's sakes. This is that wondrous, did you ever read The Second Sex?
Uh-huh.
Simone de Beauvoir, written in 1949, The Second Sex, it was saying that our fixation on housework, which of course fell to women to do, this endless job,
and still in large part does.
What?
And still in large part does.
Absolutely. In large part. Here is the quote. Few tasks are more like the torture of Sisyphus than housework. The clean becomes soiled, the soiled is made clean, over and over, day after day. That's the truth. And it's one of the things that drives me crazy about housework. No sooner have you done it than you have to do it again.
It's like, I feel that way about laundry. I mean, how come the second you've got a dark load, you've already got a pair of socks on your feet? I mean,
I know.
And you're going, well, can I just throw those in? Well, no, it doesn't work that way because you're also wearing underpants. And
I've been known, Susan, I have actually
stopped wearing all foundational garments.
I have stripped myself while putting stuff in, thinking, wait a minute, I could get I've literally gone up underwearless and sockless because I threw them in.
Me too.
What's the point of that, though?
Nothing, because you just go and put another pair on, which also won't be in there. Mother has me doing it with the garbage. She can't stand on garbage day that every single thing that should be in a waste paper basket has to be taken out to those cans.
This is why half of our lives have disappeared. She throws everything out.
Oh, boy, everything. I'm now hoarding things.
Say, Where's that letter I had? Where's the news? There was a thing in the newspaper. You threw it out.
She spends more of her time upside down in the recycling barrel. Anyway, but yes, there's lots of things that we do that way. Laundry, everybody has their own. You and I clearly have the laundry thing. Mother has the garbage thing. Every last thing has to be out. No matter how many times I explain to her that once the can is empty, you're just going to start refilling it again. You've just got to jump on next week. It's not that big a deal.
My thing is dishes. They no sooner have you done them, especially since we're home and eating every meal, then bango, there it is. I actually came across a piece, I think, in the Washington Post, the headline of which, "The dishes will never be done."
Yeah, it's not the dishes; it's the putting away thereof.
Oh, really? Well, that's true. You don't want to empty the dishwasher or the dishes.
And here's the thing: I actually, when I know that I'm using the same 3 pots and pans all week,
right?
I don't mind washing them, letting them dry on the sink, and then just putting them atop the stove. I'm going to use them in 5 hours.
Use them. Yes.
And every time I do that, I hear Mother clanging away. putting everything away and screaming because nothing fits in those drawers, and I'm like, leave it out.
Oh
It's,
my!
it's just a different way of doing things, and I'm doing it from the utilitarian point of view. I'm not going to stoop over, pick that up, and put it away, or put it away, then pick it up and put it right back there. I'm going to let it sit there clean, looking nice and tidy atop the stove.
Yeah.
And she comes in, and she's not the one that uses any of that stuff, and it just aggravates her.
Well, they have this whole thing about what people have done, how it becomes such a problem. Here's one couple Kaufman and his girlfriend ate 2, maybe 3 meals together a week. Now it's 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. That's 21 meals. And after every meal, there were dishes to do, but it never seemed urgent. After all, they weren't going anywhere. So it went on that way until there were no bowls left for them or the cat or the dog. They had to run the dishwasher twice to reach the bottom of the sink. And of course, by the time that process was completed, more dishes were dirty.
Well, they'd eaten again, but
right.
I can't do that.
In Seattle, she does the dishes nightly. Then her roommate's boyfriend moved in, adding to the dish count. Then the quarantine destroyed her rhythms. It's like, no, that one's not good. I'm sorry. Some people find it. Oh, here Sisyphus comes up again.
Well, this is, the whole experience of every day is Sisyphean or Groundhog's Day or, any take on that same subject where you are repetitively forced to do the toil of that day only to go to bed and do it again.
Yeah.
It is amazing how fast these days go. It's almost time to have a drink already.
That's funny because I saw something that Sally Wiggin wrote to Joanne Rogers about how, isn't it odd how, you start the day and you think, what am I going to do? And then all of a sudden it's 4:00 and you realize you've just been staring at the computer, reading a book, or how quickly the days go. So anyway, enough of that.
Well, I do think that a lot of people are writing more than they would write, which is good for us. Corresponding with people that they might not otherwise have stayed in touch with or
right.
started talking to again. And so I think a lot of us are enjoying the actual art of writing again, and as I told you, I'm retraining my brain to read again. So I'm forcing myself, rather pleasurably, thank God, to read at least 2 hours a day, just to retrain my brain. It's amazing how easy it is to get untrained, and thank God how pretty easy it is to recreate the pattern of concentration and the ability to get lost. But you do have to, like exercise, you just have to say, okay, I got to do this. And then you do it every day till it's back. Right now, the hard thing is to start a new book when I finish one. I can't give myself a day off. I have to plow right in there.
Well, that is how I finally found I was trying to find a book I wanted to read, and I was, starting and just not getting hooked. And I think I found one right before I went to bed last night, and I'm so thrilled.
Yeah, well, I think for a lot of people, this time is making it difficult for them to read for reasons that they have to figure out. But I've heard from more than one person that this time, where they should just be enjoying the hell out of finally having time to sit down and read, and they can't do it. Their mind just keeps wandering.
Well, partially the way our lives we've been trained is to ingest short little bits. That's what
Well, that's what the computers did. But if you manage to maintain a reading habit, at the same time and continue to read books, then that wasn't diminished.
Yeah. So, Susan.
Yeah.
Not you.
No.
Susan from Hempfield writes.
That's one of the problems. There you have it, folks. That's why I hate my name. Okay.
No. There was this whole thing today in the local paper about the names people are giving their kids, and you know what the number one boy's name is?
What?
Liam.
Oh yeah, because there's a bunch of handsome Liams around.
Oh, for heaven's sakes!
They're two movie stars named Liam, and they're strong, tough, handsome, men. So Liam, there you go.
Jeez. Okay, so Susan from Hempfield writes, "Oh my God! As I was getting ready to wash yet another load of dishes by hand yesterday, Sisyphus popped into my mind, and I wondered why Sisyphus was envisioned as a man and not a woman."
Well, now that's a good Sisyphean thought, because you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You know why? Because we weren't even noticed. That's why.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, now here's something that's going to get a little queasy-inducing, but I have to share it because I found it so wonderful. This is called The Truth About Cocoons. And since we're said to be cocooning, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, we aren't vomiting stuff.
Well, and what about, the thing that happens in a cocoon is transformation. And so, there's also wondering what we're going to emerge as.
Yeah,
what is it?
Fat and hairy or skinny and hairy.
Yeah, right. Traumatized. Right. Traumatized, blinking in the sun and saying, I don't know, fearful of each other. Anyway, this guy, Sam Anderson is his name, he says every kid knows about cocoons. They're one of the first things we learn about the natural world. What the ABCs are to language, cocoons are to biology. And it's true. And the minute I read that, I thought of your grandson.
Chrysalis.
Yes, your grandson finds a way to work the word chrysalis.
I don't think anymore. He was like 2.
Yeah, I know. It's too funny. All this, a kid who could hardly say.
6.
Yeah, I know. But back in the day, he was always chrysalis. Chrysalis.
And the chrysalis does this, and the chrysalis does that.
But this shows how this guy's right. This is something so fascinating, so magical, that kids are introduced to it very early about how this squirmy little caterpillar goes into this cocoon and comes out a beautiful butterfly. And the guy who's writing this says, the emphasis in the story, of course, is always on the before and the after the caterpillar becomes a butterfly, never on
what the hell's happening in there.
What the heck? What is going on in there? My gosh. Seriously. And
there's some serious self work going on.
Oh man. So this guy said he started thinking about it and decided what's actually going on. And he says, turns out terrible things are happening in there. Oh my gosh, it's just grisly and gruesome. He says, listen to this, what a caterpillar is doing in there in its self-imposed quarantine is basically digesting itself.
I knew you were going to say that.
All right. But it gets worse. It is using enzymes to reduce its body to goo, turning itself into a soup of ex-caterpillar, a sludge oozing around a couple of leftover essential organs like his gut and his tracheal tubes. Those don't turn into goo. They're in this goo. And then only after this self-annihilation does the new growth begin, because inside what this guy calls that gruesome mush of what used to be the little caterpillar are special clusters of cells called imaginal discs. Isn't that amazing? He says that's really the biological term, imaginal discs. And those are the seeds of butterfly. Its eyes, its wings, its genitalia. These parts gorge themselves on the protein of the goo, growing exponentially, taking form, becoming real, and that's how you get a butterfly out of the horrid meltdown of a modest caterpillar. Chrysalis is what's hanging in a chrysalis. Is what's happening in a. That's why we don't tell the kids about what's going on in the chrysalis. It's too horrible. The lovely little caterpillar is. Oh. Hey, we have a caller, and we also had one I didn't notice, and they hung up. Caller, hello.
Hello.
Hello. Now.
Hello.
They hung up too. I'm sorry. Susan and I have been having so much fun, I forgot about callers.
We usually do this right around the time that Lynn's supposed to have dinner, and I've finished. So I call her because I'm now sated and probably on my second glass of wine, and you never get to eat until midnight.
No, I didn't. I ate it was at 8:39 last night.
I'm sorry. I'll try and be better about that.
No, don't be silly. It's fine. I don't mind that. Okay, so that's it. But that's pretty good stuff, huh?
Yeah.
I love that.
Caterpillar goo.
You've learned about dust and what's going on inside a chrysalis. And
I think you ought to send that little essay to Arlie to share with Ellis.
Because he's old enough to handle the truth now.
Oh, he'd get it. He might like the gooish part, yeah.
The science section of the New York Times today had a piece, which we should all, knowledge is a good thing. And it says, the headline is, "Elephants really can't handle their liquor." And because there are stories of rampaging drunken elephants. You may have heard such a story once. No.
Well, I've heard of rampaging elephants, but I didn't realize they were hammered.
Well, there's one famous case, but that's back in 1974, about a whole herd somehow getting into a brewery.
I would think it would be more easily that they just ate fermented berries.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because that's how most other animals get drunk. Like moose are known to get totally wasted on crab apples, and then ending up getting tangled up in Christmas lights. What? We got to call it. Caller is back. All right. Hello.
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 I like your conversation about people not doing, they're not doing their dishes or laundry or why.
Right.
I find I really enjoy those things.
And why is that? Because it gives you control?
Well, no, I can sort of escape reality a little bit, turn on some good music. I mean, when I'm doing dishes, like we have dishwasher, but there's some things I hand wash and I don't mind. And when I do that, it's usually with good music, always with good music, and either a glass of whiskey or a glass of wine.
Okay.
And then when I'm doing laundry, it's down in the basement and it's quiet down there and it's cooler, and I have a refrigerator down there full of beer, so that's when I drink my beer. And I don't know.
Well, why don't you find some elephants and go in and go into a brewery? So all of this has to do with you drinking.
That's how I cope.
I must say that back in the day when there was such a thing as a dinner party, I could not. I hated the thought of waking up to the smell of last night's dinner party in the kitchen. So I would be up until sometimes 3:00 in the morning getting everything clean, and it goes much easier with a glass of wine or 4.
You know what though? When we're back pre-pandemic, when we were at friend's house, I always ended up doing the dishes because it was, I don't know, something to do, relaxing, have good conversation while I have a beverage. I mean, it's just I
think there's almost like
soothing.
It's soothing. It's almost Zen-like. And also, there's something always nice about cleaning. About making something that is in disarray, arrayed. I guess
it really is escape, though. I mean, it's not just cleaning. It's like I've read more the past 2 months, and mind you, I've been working 40 hours a week from home. So I'm one of the lucky ones.
Yeah,
I guess I'm lucky. And I've been reading a lot more, and I'm just discovered, not that he's wonderful, I like reading David Baldacci, or how he found, because
Balducci.
But and also what's his name? Gosh, it's these books where bad things always happen to bad guys.
Oh, good. Bad guys have bad things happen.
Bad things are actually happening to bad guys, and it's like it gives me some sort of like maybe life will imitate art.
Maybe there's justice somewhere in this world. I doubt it.
Even in my made up world, there's justice, and I'm really living in it to no end anymore.
I have to say that our erudite brother confessed to me that he had picked up a Tom Clancy novel.
You're kidding me.
And found it so entertaining that he's read his way through the whole thing.
Oh, come on. He read Tom Clancy?
Honest. I thought I was most amused by that. But it's fun, it's fun to have a good, well-written yarn.
A yarn.
Yeah.
Yeah, a yarn. Hey, thanks for the call. I'm moving on. I never finished my drunken elephant story.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I'll drink to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Go get yourself a drink. Mimosa.
Goodbye. So in 1974, a herd of no fewer, I'm saying fewer because the word has disappeared. That's the proper word. No fewer than. Everybody now says less.
Right.
The word less is used where few is the proper word, and it's gone. And I just want a moment of silence for
I just want to say, there go the blankety blank drunk elephants again, while you're off on a few.
This was not a few elephants. This was 150 in West Bengal, India. They broke into a brewery and ingested a lot of this stuff, and then went on a rampage through this town, and actually they destroyed much of the town. They killed people. It was not good. But anyway, this whole idea of drunken elephants, then people started sharing stories. But it's unclear whether elephants really, there's no way that an elephant can, with any kind of regularity, break into a brewery and drink. So how is an elephant going to get drunk? How many fermented berries does something as large as an elephant have to ingest to get drunk? And it turns out they've actually studied this. Elephants are just extraordinary lightweights when it comes to drinking. The classic.
Boy, which lucky elephants got picked for that study?
Yeah, right. The classic cheap date. I mean, really. And it turns out they lack this key enzyme that humans have that quickly metabolizes ethanol. And we humans share that enzyme with chimpanzees and bonobos and gorillas. And we all have unusually for the animal kingdom, high tolerance for alcohol. It's a genetic mutation. We metabolize ethanol 40 times faster than other primates and almost all mammals. So we were born to booze.
And that, folks, is why we're exceptional.
That's right. That's right. There's a reason we're at the top of the food chain.
Because we know what goes well with wine.
And which wines.
And which wines, right.
So I have this little note to myself about thoughts that occur while I'm walking the dog. And I'm sure, Susan, you know that when you're walking the dog, your head you notice things, you're thinking, right?
Yeah, the dog gets irritated because I frequently stop and stare up at a tree for a reason that he can't figure out for a long time, and he'll go, but yeah.
Yeah, but what about all the times you're walking and all of a sudden you have to stop because his nose is in the ground?
Honestly, you tell me, yeah. Sometimes I just walk along screaming, pick up your head, pick up your head.
I mean, the dog and the human are in two totally different experiences when you take a walk. But yesterday, no, it wasn't yesterday. It was a few days ago. I was walking, and it was unbelievable. I was in a residential area, and this wasn't like an Amazon truck. It pulled up, and this guy jumps out, and he had this huge thing. I mean, it was a thing that held other things. And do you know, I watched as he went literally from house to house to house to house. On the other side of the street, there were 5 houses in a row that he left packages on the on the doorstep. And I hate Amazon because I just hate monopolistic stuff. And I mean, I look at that and I think of that damn richest person in the world, Jeff Bezos or whatever his name is. Bezos.
Yeah.
And how the pandemic is like the greatest thing that ever happened to him.
I know.
I mean, there won't be anybody else standing. Stop ordering from Amazon is what I want to say to people. Go to the original, pay a little more. God, don't let him take over the world. Thank you. Just had to say that. And here's another thing. Are rabbits dumb? I have this, there's this street.
You mean that they just sit there and wait for the dog to eat them?
Yes. Yeah, because I'm used to the dog. The dog loves, to chase squirrels. Bunnies, not so sure, because the bunnies. Well, there's a street that we call the Dumb Bunny Street. I mean, the dog and I said, let's go look for some dumb bunnies, but we don't have to look for them because they approach us. kind of a dumb bunny comes at the dog, very slowly hops towards, sees him, keeps hopping toward. The dog cannot believe it. The dog is like dumbfounded. And we're so used to these particular dumb bunnies on this street. It's amazing. So they don't really have fear of
fear. Well, the bunnies that I see, no, they freeze, and they hope the dog won't notice them.
Right. That works because the dog gets bored.
I think in your neighborhood you have a bunch of rabid bunnies. They aren't supposed to approach you.
I swear this one, he just kept coming at us. And I thought, what the hell? Yeah, it wasn't rabid. I don't think. It was dumb. It's a dumb bunny.
Nothing's more dumb than a turkey, which I've been seeing galumphing through the backyard here, which I don't remember ever seeing here before, but they're here now.
Which animal?
Turkey.
Oh, turkeys. Yeah, they're pretty dumb. They can't help it.
No.
You don't want
but
to
I remember
shaming.
when I lived in St. Louis, they used to just come walking, like a gaggle of them would come walking up the driveway, as turkeys walk, and my dog would just be looking out the window going, what is that thing? He recognized it as a bird, but he didn't recognize it as, birds were not supposed to be
that
40
big
pounds and 5 feet tall.
Well, you know what? I'm embarrassed to say that one day, long ago, maybe 25 years ago, I looked out my front window here, and I saw this huge bird. And what the hell is that? I couldn't believe it. I thought, what is that? And somewhere in the back of my head, I thought, is that a turkey? And I thought,
never seen
no,
a turkey, right?
It can't be a turkey. What's a turkey doing here? And then, you know how I figured out it was a turkey? I envisioned it.
From drawing it on
I took the legs
Thanksgiving.
off. Yeah. I thought, okay, just don't look at the head. Pretend to cut the neck and the head off, and damn if that wasn't a turkey. Yeah. But that was the first time. Now I see them all the time, but that was the first one. Here's another thought I often have, because it's so beautiful when you walk late at night. And, it's such a beautiful time of year because of the flowers and it is so. I was thinking, look at this. Everything has changed in our lives. But nature is unchanging. It doesn't know nor care that us bipeds are having a bad stretch, right? In fact, nature is thriving because we're having a bad stretch.
Right.
Nature doesn't miss us. In fact, nature is clearly better without us. And in the grand scheme of things, when you walk at night and you see all that, you realize we are of little importance. We tell ourselves we're the be-all and end-all. We're the top of the food chain. But what does that tell you? That means that if you knock off the very top of the food chain, there's not another species that will miss us. Except maybe our like dogs. Right?
Yeah.
Knock the top of the food chain off, and it doesn't create havoc.
Are you moving around your house on your phone?
No.
Okay, because it's sounding a little, maybe it's just me, but you're sounding...
Okay, no, I'm sitting right where I've been sitting since we started.
Okay.
And speaking of the food chain, I just had this. Have you seen these little items? And then finally, I guess the CDC came out and said something about rats and mice.
I know, rats are missing restaurants more than we are.
I know, man. They want those restaurants to reopen. They're starving to death in the cities because that's what they eat. At night, they come out and eat all the stuff that we throw away. And the rats in those kinds of settings, especially like in New York, they're really freaking out. And they're becoming aggressive, not toward humans, toward each other. They're even like eating each other's babies. They are, it's not good to be a rat in New York right now. I just want to tell you that. Turns out they even have an item here in Chicago, Susan. Chicago rats have started boldly searching for food, traveling farther and even during the daytime. Some have even moved into car engines.
Sure, I'm glad I'm not there.
Yeah, right. So it turns out that if you're, normally rats and mice that live close to, in residential areas, they're not in distress because, in fact, they might be thinking things are hunky-dory because everybody's home and putting out even more garbage, right?
Right.
Yeah. But
no, we don't. Cooking in your own home does not make the same kind of garbage.
No, it doesn't.
And it's not disposed of the same way.
Yeah, this is true. But anyway, just watch out for marauding rats. I'm just telling you. Josh writes, Lynn and Susan, I'm enjoying the wildlife conversation. I live on the south side slopes. I'd love it, Susan, in I don't know if it's a Pittsburgh thing, but I love it. So all these hills and valleys we have, the hills where people live on, you see the houses sort of hanging off the hills.
Right.
They're called the slopes. And where the slopes end, it's called the flats. So people live on the slopes or on the flats. Right. So Josh says, I live on the south side slopes. We have a herd of deer that come through our neighborhood regularly. The other night, a group of 5 came out of the woods and cautiously walked through our yard, being led by a cat. This black cat was literally scouting ahead of the deer, and they were following it. Never saw that before. That's fascinating because I have been seeing videos of animals helping other animals like that. I just saw there was a video on Twitter the other day of this. I couldn't tell what it was. It was some very slow-moving furry, looked like maybe a hedgehog or it was smaller than a possum, but it was crossing a road, and it was barely moving. And the person who took the video was in a car that stopped because it would have run it over. And what the person in the car saw was this idiot mammal and this wonderful bird that was accompanying it. And the bird kept pecking at the hindquarters of the animal to get it to move. Get moving! You have to cross this road. So it would get pecked, and then it would go like 4 inches. And then the bird would peck it again and go 4 inches. And the bird finally, and it takes a long time, the bird gets that thing out of danger and off the roadway and then hits the curb. And the bird jumps up on the curb and turns. And, of course, the idiot, furry thing is just there, just sitting there, not moving. And the bird looks at it, comes down, does one more peck, the thing does not move, and the bird says, all right, buddy, you're on your own now. But that bird clearly
trying to get it out of the road.
Now, isn't that amazing?
Well, I don't know why if we know that trees help trees of different species through their root systems and form communities, then why do we think that, there isn't cooperation among animal species?
Well, absolutely.
And we know that birds are, some birds are very, very smart. And I mean, so I don't know. I just think it's because of humans, of how we view ourselves, that we fail to recognize the qualities in those that we consider lesser than us.
Boy,
don't you think?
Yeah. Oh, I just remembered something I wanted to tell you about.
Dogs were smart enough to enslave us.
I just wanted to say about dusting. I remember the dusting thing from last night. I did a little dusting last night. I had this, a special cloth and spray for like computer screen, and I did that, and then I thought, ooh, the TV. So this is my major TV, and I started doing it, and the TV was on, and I was wiping it left to right, trying not to smear anything. And then all of a sudden, as I was on the bottom, left to right, the picture went off, and a whole different station came on, and it was snow. Just bleh. I thought, what the? And I had never even seen, because you can't. At the very bottom of this sleek black thing, there are some controls that I never use, because you use the, remote.
The remote. They're there in case your remote breaks. Imagine
that. Guess what? It now is on, it says like channel 7, and it's total snow. And
you changed the source, sweetheart.
I
can't believe we're doing this.
I don't know how to get my TV back.
All right. Well, call me after the show. I'll talk to you. You pressed the button. Pressed the button, and you're on the wrong source, sweetheart. And we'll get you back on the right source.
I found some other sources that I've never used, and that doesn't seem to be working either. I even put in new batteries in some of those, and I think I so messed it up that I'll
You're going to have to let Sam in. I can tell.
I know this is so awful that I'm so helpless when it comes to this.
Well, this is ridiculous.
All right, it's ridiculous.
What you have to do is find the source button and put it back on cable or HTML.
I know, but I can't find anything that tells me that. I know.
It's on one of your remotes, the television remote itself, not the cable remote. There'll be a button that says source. That's it.
Oh, you know what? Amy's telling me my call is starting to break up.
Yeah. I know I'm not the only. You sound better now. I think it's your phone.
Well, sure. Nothing works here. I probably dusted that too.
Well, no. Now it sounds fine again.
Well, I don't know. Amy says I'm starting to break up. Sounds a bit choppy. Is everybody okay? Huh?
Well, now you're better.
Okay.
But there was a bad 10 minutes in there. Yes, there was.
Okay. Yeah, she says it sounds better now. Well, a lot of good that does us. It's 11, almost. So I think that's it.
Guess what we didn't talk about? Not even once. Yay!
I'm very happy, and I wanted to not mention his name. He does not deserve to be mentioned except in a summons for, high crimes and misdemeanors against humanity.
Yeah. Yep. I'll go with treason.
Whatever. I just, more horrible than you could, in your wildest dreams, imagine. And, yeah, so I'm not going to say anything about all those people I saw, all those stupid, invariably white people, cheek to jowl, having a great weekend, and they're going to kill us all. You shouldn't have brought this up, Susan. They're going to kill us all.
Oh, geez, goodbye.
All right. Stop. Just think about animals helping each other. Think about drunken elephants. Thinking about the fact that you're sloughing off your skin even as you then think about what's going on in a chrysalis. Okay? Right. But don't think about you-know-who. Yeah, the chrysalis. Okay. All right. Hey, Sue, thank you.
Bye. Call me if you need me. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.